This call is now being recorded.
So your last unit for your module 4, which is analytic geometry, you have your curve tracing. Now, why curve tracing? Because maybe when you read your module, you're just graphing the function, right? Eh, meron naman tayong app. We have a lot of app to give you the graph of a given function. And yet, why do we have to do the curve tracing? Take note that your graphing app will just give you the physical appearance of your graph, but it will not explain to you the behavior of your graph. Take note that understanding the behavior of the graph will help you in your higher math subject. So we really have to do the manual graphing. Now you may use your Google or GeoGebra just to check if you have a correct graph. Okay? Pero ang gagawin pa rin natin is manual graphing. So you will now be tracing different kinds of functions. And likewise also, if you have time, I'll introduce the polar. Okay? Curve tracing or polar curve tracing. Now these are the steps in your curve tracing. So let's just make it simple. So the first one is the behavior of the curve. So you will now try to identify kung ano yung magiging behavior. Behavior in a way if it will increase or decrease. So what will you do initially is you're going to assign the value of your x. Your x now usually is a very large number. Ayan. If your x is a very large number, then what will now happen to your y? So yun yung tanong. Will it also increase or decrease? And if you now assume a value of your x, which is a very small number, and if you look at your coordinates, yung very small number na yun yung mga negative values. Kung negative yung x mo, which is a very small number, then what will happen now to your y? You think your y will increase or it will decrease, just like this one. So, yun yung ititest nyo na behavior ng curve. Okay, just by assuming a very large number of x and a very small number of x, and then you check now your function. The function I'm telling you is the y value. After that, you test now the symmetry. Symmetry meaning whatever you see on one curve will also be present on the other side. Kung ba symmetry is the mirror image. So saan siya may mirror image? Is it with respect to the x-axis? So anong halimbawa pag with respect to x-axis? Ito yung magiging graph. Kung with respect to x-axis, so ito yung x-axis, y-axis, your graph would be like this. Ayan. Kumbaga, mirror image siya. Yung graph mo sa first quadrant is a mirror image of the fourth quadrant. Kaya with respect to the x-axis. Symmetric with respect to the x-axis. Next one is y-axis. So how will you know if it is symmetric with the y-axis? So yun nga, if you have your y-axis, so let's say this is the graph in your first quadrant, syempre dun sa second quadrant, ganun din. Okay, that's an example of with respect to y-axis. Pag sinabing with respect to the origin, then this will now be the graph. So kung ganito yung graph mo sa first quadrant, ganito naman yung graph mo sa third quadrant. Okay, so those are examples of your graph to know if it is symmetric with respect to x, y, and origin. So ito yung sinasabi nating origin, 0, 0. So yun yung mga ititest natin with respect to the origin and y-axis and x-axis. Okay, the third step is the intercepts of the graph. Pag sinabi mong intercepts, you are asked to find the point of intersection of your curve to your x-axis and y-axis. So, saan dadaan yung curve mo sa x-axis? Saan dadaan yung curve sa y-axis? So, yun yung hahanapin natin sa intercept form. Kaya, aalamin nyo yung x-intercept at saka y-intercept. X-intercept is the intersection of the curve to your x-axis. intersection of the curve to your y-axis. So, anong gagawin nyo pag x-intercept? What will you do? You equate your y to 0, tapos yung y naman, you equate this to 0. Para mahanap natin yung mga points of intersection. And then the last one will be additional points. Additional points will depend on you. Ano yung mga values ni x na gusto nyo pang alamin? Okay, for you to know the value of y. So, depende kung anong gusto nyong values na ng x. Para makita nyo kung ano ba yung itsura ng curve. Again, you may use your graphing app just to check your graph. But in curve tracing, kailangan lahat yung step 4. Okay? So, let's have an example doon sa tracing the curve given na y is equal to f of x. So paano pag yan yung format ng function natin? Okay, y is equal to f of x. So example is, let's say you have now your y is equal now to x raised to 4 plus 2x squared minus 1. So let's say yan yung given function. So you're asked now to trace it. We have to graph it. So we will now follow the steps. So first step natin, okay, gawin ko ang A. So step 1, sabi dyan is the behavior, right? Behavior of the curve. So yun yung aalamin natin. And that is by assuming now values, large values of x and small values of x. So let's say, if your x is a very large number, so usually pag ganyan, kinukuha lang natin yung leading term. Okay? Testing now the leading term. Ano yung leading term natin dyan? Yun yung x raised to 4. The one with the highest exponent. Pag dyan kayo nag-substitute ng very large value, pwede na. Okay? No need for you to substitute to all the terms in your function. Doon lang sa first term, the one with the highest exponent. Yan yung leading term na sinasabi. So, you just check your calcul. You try now a very large number. Let's say 100. Tapos erase mo sa 4. Anong mangyayari sa value ni y? What do you think? Check nyo sa calcul nyo. 1 million, erase nyo sa 4. Anong nangyari sa value ni y? Do you think it will increase also? Will it increase or decrease yung value ng y? Of course, with respect to 100, kung ano yung inassume nyo na 100 na value ng x. Any volunteer? Increase po, sabi ni Yani. Yes. Pag nag-assume kayo ng value ng x, tapos raised to 4 pa siya, edi mag-i-increase talaga yung value ni y with respect to 100 na initial nyo. So, if x is 100, then what will happen to y? Edi mas malaki pa yung value niya. So, therefore, your y now will increase. So, paano yan? Paano yan sa ating Cartesian plane? If this is your x-axis and if this is your y-axis, sabi ko, if x is a very large number, what will happen to your y? Siyempre, yung y nyo mag-i-increase din. So, anong ibig sabihin yan? That you can see that your graph will rise, okay, in your first quadrant. So, nandyan lang yung graph nyo. Okay? So, dyan tataas yung graph. Let's say, if your x is a very small number, then what will happen to y? Very small number, nandito siya. Yan yung mga negative values na natin. O mag-assume kayo ng negative value. Kasi negative 1,000. Yung negative 1,000, erase mo sa 4 kasi x raised to 4. Anong sagot? Positive o negative? Positive. So, ibig sabihin, nag-increase pa rin siya. Kahit na negative value na yung sinasubstitute mo, nag-i-increase pa rin siya. Kasi nga, even yung exponent ng x raised to 4 siya. Diba? Pag even, nagiging positive pa rin yung value ng x. So, ibig sabihin, your y increases. So, therefore, if in this case, y increases, ibig sabihin, nasa second quadrant yung ating graph ulit. So, it will rise here in your second quadrant. Okay, so nakikita mo na yung graph mo is more on the first quadrant and second quadrant. Okay, that is your step 1, behavior of the curve. So, anong next test natin? Okay, so sabi dyan, test of symmetry. Doon tayo sa step 2. Okay, so we have there, step 2. We have now test of symmetry. So, kailangan yung i-test lahat. Okay, daanan nyo lahat to. X-axis, Y-axis, origin. Tatlo ang gagawin nyo sa test of symmetry. Okay? So, ano yung given natin? Ang given natin na function is y is equal to x raised to 4 plus 2x squared minus 1. Ito yun, yung ating function. Okay, so first test of symmetry, letter A, that is with respect to the origin or with respect to x-axis muna. So, paano nyo malalaman na yung curve nyo is symmetric with respect to your x-axis? So, what will you do is that you replace, okay? You replace y by negative y and then solve for y. Yun yung sinasabi dyan. You replace now your y by negative y and then solve for y. Pag sinolve nyo si y at nagbago siya, hindi siya pareho doon sa given na function. Hindi siya symmetric sa x-axis. Pero pag sinolve mo si y at bumalik ka doon sa original function, then it is symmetric with respect to x-axis. So, sisimplify na natin. Okay, so we know that your y is equal to x raised to 4. Ito yung original na function natin. Papalitan natin si y ngayon ng negative y. And let us now try to solve again y. So let us solve y by multiplying, right? So we will now multiply negative 1 doon sa ating both sides of the equation, negative 1. So therefore, that is now positive. Kasi we will solve again y which is positive. So you have now negative x raised to 4, negative 2x raised to 3 plus 1. Okay, let's compare now this to your original function. Pareho ba sila? No. Okay, so hindi sila pareho. So what is then your conclusion? You can say then that the curve is not, okay, symmetric with respect to x-axis. So, hindi siya symmetric. Bakit? Kasi hindi ka bumalik doon sa original function. Nagbago ngayon yung function na na-solve natin. Okay, letter B. So, letter B is with respect to y-axis. So, anong gagawin nyo para malaman nyo na symmetric siya with respect to y-axis? You replace now your x by negative x and then solve for y. Si x naman ang papalitan natin ng negative x. So what do we have here? So we copy the original function, x raised to 4 plus 2x squared minus 1. And then we now replace our x, okay, by negative x. And then we solve now for y again. So we solve for y. So this positive pa rin yan. Positive pa rin to. Minus 1. And then we check now this one. Is this similar to the original function? Pareho sila. So yes. So ibig sabihin that the curve is, okay, symmetric. Symmetric with respect to y axis. So, pag nag-graph kayo, dapat makita nyo na symmetric na talaga siya with respect to y-axis. Okay, and then the last one. The last one is we have to check kung symmetric siya with respect to the origin, point of origin. Okay, so letter C is with respect to the origin. So if you want to know kung symmetric siya with respect to origin, then what will you do? We replace now x by negative x and y by negative y. Dalawa na. And then what will you do? Solve for y. If it gives us the original function, then symmetric to the origin. So again, our function, original function, y is equal to x raised to 4 plus 2x squared minus 1. So you have now your x ay negative. Palitan na pala natin. Negative daw si y, negative na si x. Ayan. And then we solve for y. So simplifying first x raised to 4, positive pa rin yan. And then we multiply now our equation by negative 1. So you have now positive y is equal to negative x raised to 4, 2x squared plus 1. So the resulting function is not the same with the original one. So therefore, it's not, okay, symmetric with respect to the origin. So, saan lang siya symmetric? Symmetric lang siya sa y-axis. So, yan yung gagawin nyo sa test of symmetry. So, what do you expect in your quiz or exam? Tatanungin siguro kayo, which of the following, or maybe the following function is symmetric to what? Letter A, mga ganon. Okay, with respect to the x-axis, y-axis, so we have to test. So, ganito yung gagawin yung pag-test. To know if it is symmetric with respect to x, y, and origin. Again, you just unmute if you have question, okay? So, that is our second, that's our step 2. Natapos na tayo sa symmetry. Basta alam natin na symmetric siya with respect to y-axis. Okay? So, ito yun. Okay. So, let us now proceed to the step 3. Ano yung ating step 3? Intercepts. Pabalikan natin. Intercepts of the curve. That is your step 3. Okay, so you have your step 3, says there intercepts of the curve. So, anong hinahanap nyo dito? These are the points wherein your graph will intersect the y and x-axis. So, this is our function again, x raised to 4 plus 2x squared minus 1. So, anong gagawin muna natin? Let's start first with your x-intercept. So, x-intercept meaning kung saan nag-intersect yung curve sa x-axis. So, how will you do this is we equate your y is equal to 0 para ma-solve natin si x value. Okay? So, our function is y is equal to x raised to 4 plus 2x squared minus 1. We equate this to 0, yung y. We have x raised to 4 plus 2x squared minus 1. This is a degree 4. So, you may use your, kung na-encounter nyo yung synthetic division, just for you to find the values of x that will make this 0. Or you can just use factoring, and then, ano yun, ginamit mo na sa math, quadratic formula. So, yun naman yung na-discuss natin. So, let's try the factoring. So, paano yung factoring or quadratic formula? Okay, mag-quadratic na lang tayo. The degree here is 4, so gawin natin siyang raised to 2 lang para maging quadratic formula. And yan, we combine minus 1. So, it's like you will let now y be equal to x squared. Para yung ating equation will be in terms of y now. Pag na-solve niyo na si y, babalik tayo dyan. Okay? So, therefore, palitan natin si x squared ng y, but it is raised to 2. Plus 2, this is already replaced by y minus 1 is equal to 0. So, we can use now quadratic formula. So, by quadratic formula, we know that a is 1, b is the coefficient of y, and c is negative 1. From the formula, since we're solving for y, so that is now negative b plus and minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So, ayan. Calculate nyo para ma-simplify natin. So, I'll just substitute. You have negative 2 plus and minus the square root of, you have b is 2 squared minus 4a is 1, c is negative 1. Ano yung radicand? I'm only asking for the radicand. What's the radicand? Any answer? Eight. Okay, that's the radicand. Thank you. But your 8 here is a perfect, may perfect square siya, right? So that's now 2 square root of 2 over 2. So we now factor out 2. So ang meron na lang is negative 1 plus and minus the square root of 2 over 2. Para nag-cancel yan. What do we have now? Your y now is negative 1 plus and minus the square root of 2. So you have two values of your y, right? The first is the positive and then the negative. But we're not solving for y because the original function we have is in terms of x ito. Tama? In terms of x. Kaya babalik tayo dito sa, okay, but we know that y is equal to x squared. So papalitan natin ngayon siya. Okay, first, at y is equal to negative 1 plus square root of 2, what is x? So you have now here, pwede na natin siyang square root. Square root natin kasi x yung isosolve natin. So therefore, x now is equal to plus and minus y. Tama, dalawa palagi ang values ng x natin. Pag nag-square root kayo both sides. So let us now, wait, naka-square root siya. Sorry. Ayan. Okay. X is equal to the square root of y, plus and minus. So let us now solve for x. X now is equal to the square root of, ang y natin is negative 1 plus the square root of 2. Okay, can you give me the value? So dalawa yan, plus and minus. Decimal, kung decimal. Anong sagot niyo?
Ma'am, 0.64 po yung isa.
Okay, so this is plus and minus. Okay, 0.64. Okay, so 0.64. Later, when we graph, isa lang yung kunin nating decimal. Anyway, yan yung ating x. And the next one is, what if y is equal to negative 1 minus the square root of 2? So what is now our x? X is the square root of negative 1 minus the square root of 2. Okay, ano yung nasa calci nyo? Is there a value? Error? May I? May imaginary? Ano?
Ma'am, error naman po.
Okay, so kung nag-error sa calci nyo, ibig sabihin, ang nakuha natin value ng x is an imaginary number. Okay? Kung nag-error siya. Okay? And we don't include the imaginary number in our x value. Ang kukunin lang natin is the real number. So meron tayong dalawang real number na nakuha, which is positive 0.64 and negative 0.64. So ano ngayon yung point of intersection? Ayan. What is our x? Ang nakuha nating x lang ito. Dalawa. Positive 0.64. What is our y value? Kasi ordered pair yung kinukuha natin, di ba? Pag point of intersection.
0.
What? Yes, because di ba sinet na natin if y is 0, so 0 yan. And the other point is negative 0.64 and then 0. So ibig sabihin, dito dadaan yung line natin sa x-axis. Kasi x-intercept means it's the intersection of the curve to your x-axis. So meron ng dalawa. Okay, next, we're done with the x-intercept. Then let's proceed now to the y-intercept. Sa y-intercept naman. Asan na tayo? Step 3 pala. Letter A, letter B is for your y-intercept. Intersection ng curve sa y-axis. So we let this to be 0. Inilet natin yan yung x sa 0. So this is again our function. So x squared minus 1. Okay, so from our original function, ano nangyari? Plus 2 plus 2x squared minus 1. We let now our x to be 0. 0 plus 0 minus 1. So y now is equal to negative 1. So what is now the point of intersection from your y-axis? We let our x to be 0, kaya 0 siya. Ang nakuha nating y is negative 1. So dito naman, mag-intersect yung graph natin. Okay, so that's 0, negative 1. So, anong last? So, ang last natin ngayon is additional points. Okay, so balik tayo. Tignan natin yung ating last steps. Apat lang yung step natin para, ayan, additional points. For us to know now our curve. But before that, kailangan na nating i-plot. I-try muna natin siyang i-plot. Okay? I-plot muna natin siya. Para alam natin kung ano yung mga additional points natin. So, i-plot muna. So, we have your x and y axis. So, this is our x-axis and y-axis. So, from the behavior of the curve, kung maalala niyo yung behavior ng curve natin, nasaan lang natin makikita yung ating graph? Most of it is the first and fourth quadrant. So, nandyan daw yan. So, at least alam na natin na nandyan yung graph. Okay, then we go back to your step 2. Ano yung ginawa natin sa step 2? Test of symmetry. So, we were able to found out that the curve is symmetric with respect to y-axis. So, yan yung mga information na kailangan nyo. Next, sa step 3, ito yung mga intercepts kung saan ngayon dumaan yung curve natin. So, i-plot natin yung dalawang point na to. 0.64, so 0.6 ang gagamitin natin at saka 0. Okay, mukhang 1 yung gagamitin natin. Kasi 0 siya. Okay, so this is now positive 1. This is positive 1. Negative 1. Okay, x. X is 0.6. Yan. Okay, this is positive 1 and negative 1. Okay, so 0.6 and 0. So, nasaan? Ayan. Ay, sorry. Okay, so this is 0.5. So, kung ito 0.5, andito tayo, 0.6. approximation, okay? So this is now the intersection to our x-axis kasi x-intercept. So this is our point 0.6 and 0 or 64. And then yung isa negative to 0.5 yan, nandito naman siya. Okay? So this is now your negative 6.6, okay? Negative 0.6 and then 0. Okay? Okay. And then, so yan yung ating x-intercept, intersection to the x-axis. Then let's go now to, ano yung isa, y-intercept. Come on. Ayun. Move. Ano yung y-intercept natin kanina? 0, negative 1, if I'm not mistaken. Move. Ayan, nag-move na siya. Okay, so yung y-intercept naman natin is the intersection of the curve to your y-axis, 0, negative 1. So, ibig sabihin nandito ang 0, negative 1. Okay? So, yan pa lang yung points na nakikita natin. So, ano kaya ang magiging graph yan? But we know that your graph will rise to your first and second quadrants. Additional points tayo. Yun. Okay? Additional points. So, that is your step 4. Additional points. So, it's up to you kung anong gagamitin nyo na values ng x para makita natin ulit, matrace natin kung ano yung curve natin. Okay, so anong gusto nyong value? So, 1 na lang. 1 and negative 1. Okay, so let's say 1. Will you please check the value of y pag x is 1 and then negative 1. Yung y natin is y is equal to x raised to 4 plus 2x squared minus 1. Paki-check. Substitute nyo nga muna. Ano yung value ni y pag x is 1.
Two po, ma'am.
Positive 2. Okay, paano pag negative 1?
2 pa rin po.
Positive 2 pa rin. So, if it's going to check, so andito si 2, so 1, so positive 2 pa rin. So, this is your x is 1 and then 2, and then ito rin. So, ibig sabihin, pakyat talaga siya. X is negative 1 and 2. Okay, paano pag sa ano? Actually, pag sa negative 2 na tayo, tataas pa rin yan. So, nandun na po yung points natin. How about dito sa ating, yung 1/2 na, 0.5. 0.5. Kasi ito is 0.6. Doon tayo sa 1/2. Positive 1/2 and negative 1/2. Tignan natin kung mayroon siyang curve below negative 1.
Negative 7/16 po.
Negative 7. I-decimal mo nga. 0, negative 0 what?
Negative 0.44 po.
0.4. Isang decimal lang tayo. Yung isa, ito, yung 1/2 yan ah. Okay, yung negative 1/2.
Ma'am, bali negative 0.56 po. 0.5 or
Ba't hindi
0.6.
kayo pareho? Dapat pareho yan.
Ay, ma'am, doon na po sa negative. Ito.
Negative 1/2. Sa negative 1/2, dapat pareho kayo. Check nyo nga. Pareho naman yung nakukuha kong value. Still negative 0.4. 0.4375, di ba? If I'm going to be specific, yan yung nakukuha nyo. Negative 0.4375. They're the same. Bakit dapat pareho sila? Kasi di ba sabi natin, they are symmetric with respect to y-axis. So, mirror image dapat sila sa y. So, pareho. I-check nyo nga yung sagot mo. So, negative 0.4. So, we know that this is 0.5. So, 0.5 yan, approximation nandito. Okay, nandito yung ating point na if x is 1/2 or 0.5, then this is negative 0.4. Ito naman. So, ganun din siya. So, this is now negative, nabaliktad ko. Tama pala, ang x ko is negative 1/2. Okay, negative 1/2, and then our y is negative 0.4. So, ibig sabihin, wala nang graph, wala nang ibang points below negative 1. So, you can now finalize the curve. So, if we're going to finalize it now, ibig sabihin, ito yung pinaka-lowest. So, it is increasing. Sabi nga, it rises in your first quadrant. Ayan. Tataas pa yan. Ito naman, it rises on your second quadrant. So, that will now be the graph. Okay, so that is now the graph of the given function. So, that's how will you do the curve tracing. So, lahat ng function na ibibigay ko sa inyo, same steps lang ang gagamitin natin. Question? Question? Mukhang wala naman kayong katanungan. Okay, so let us proceed now to another example. Ayan. So, tracing a curve given now a rational function. A rational function meaning you have a numerator and a denominator. So, how will you do now the curve tracing kung may fraction kayo? Yung kanina, ano lang yun, polynomial lang yun. E paano kung meron na kayong fractions of polynomial? Okay? This is actually written as f of x over g of x. So, meron na kayong fractions sa inyong functions. So, how will you do the curve tracing? The same lang. We follow the steps. Pero ito may konting may dagdag lang. Okay? So, let's say you were given now y is equal to 1 over x squared minus 9. So let's say yan yung binigay. So you have now a fraction form. Your numerator is 1, f of x. Your g of x is x squared minus 9. So ganun pa rin yung ating step. So we will follow step 1. Okay, so that is the behavior. Behavior of the curve. In this case, we will not be using now a very large number. Gagamitin na natin ngayon yung sinasabing asymptote. Okay? Asymptote is actually a line. So, pwede siyang vertical asymptote or horizontal asymptote. Anong ibig sabihin yan? Your curve will not intersect those lines. It will just approach, but it will not intersect your horizontal and vertical asymptote. So, yun yung magiging guide ngayon natin sa behavior of the curve. So, letter A. So, how do we know the vertical? Vertical asymptote. So, vertical asymptote is we have to solve now for the values of your x. Pero, denominator. It says here that your g of x equate to 0. Equate nyo lang yung denominator sa 0. And then, let us now solve for x. That is now the vertical asymptote. Okay? Equate your g of x to 0. Kasi ito yung f of x, ito yung g of x. And what is our g of x? Our g of x is x squared minus 9. Equate natin sa 0. And then, let's solve for x. So, usually, we factor. O kaya, quadratic formula. Bala kayo kung anong gagamitin nyo. So, let's say if this is x and this is x. And then, you have now 3 and then 3. The other one is positive and negative. So, you have now x times x squared. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. If we check the center, positive yan. Ito, negative 3x, kaya may 0. So, kaya wala tayong x term. So, tama yung ating factored form. And then, you equate now your factors to 0. Equate factors to 0. So, x plus 3 is equal to 0. X minus 3 is equal to 0. X now is 3. X here is negative 3. So, meaning, we have two vertical asymptotes. A line that is x is equal to 3 and a line which is x is equal to negative 3. Or, pwede nyo namang isolve to na, transpose nyo na lang si 9, and then you get the square root of both sides. X now is plus and minus 3. So, there you have. So, ganun pa rin, two values of x. So, yan ang ating mga vertical asymptotes. X is equal to 3 and x is equal to negative 3. Letter B. Letter B, it says here your horizontal asymptote. Meron kayong mga cases sa inyong module. Okay? But if you don't want to memorize the cases in your major, isa lang yung gagawin nyo. Okay? Ang gagawin natin is we're going now to solve for y. So you have your x squared minus 9. So what will you do now sa horizontal asymptote? You look at your numerator. And then what is the degree or what is the highest exponent of your x in numerator? Ano yung highest exponent? Sa numerator, ha? Hindi sa denominator. It's 0. That's correct. Because this is actually x raised to 0. Tama? Pero hindi na natin nilalagay yung x raised to 0. Then what will you do? You divide x raised to 0 to all the terms in your function. So, halimbawa, binigyan kayo ng x squared over y is equal to 4x squared plus x. Ganyan. And then, always check the numerator. The highest degree in the numerator is 2, x raised to 2. So, what will you do? We divide x raised to 2 to all the terms. X raised to 2. Ayan. 4x squared over x raised to 2 plus x over x raised to 2. Ayan. So, ibig sabihin, simplify nyo na siya. Okay? So that's 1 over 4 plus 1 over x. Ganun. Kung halimbawa yung numerator nyo, ang highest exponent is 3, edi i-divide nyo pa rin lahat yan sa 3, x raised to 3, x raised to 3. Okay, so ang basis nyo is yung numerator. In this case, ang basis natin is x raised to 0. So parang 1 over x raised to 0 o x raised to 2 over x raised to 0. Pinakita ko lang ha. And then x raised to 0. But we know that dividing x raised to 0 will give us 1 over x squared minus 9. Bumalik lang tayo. Okay? Pinakita ko lang kung ano yung general method in doing the horizontal asymptote. And then after that, what will you do is you assume now. Assume a very large value of x. If x is a very large number, i-raise mo siya sa 2, i-minus mo sa 9, very large number pa rin yan. Okay? And 1 divided by a very large number, it will actually approximate to 0. Okay, so halimbawa ito, yung nakuha nating y is equal to 1 over 4 plus 1 over x. Take note, if x is a very large number, 1 over a very large number, it will give you 0. So magiging 4 plus 0 yan. So therefore, your y now here is 1/4. Yan yung horizontal asymptote niya, dun sa binigay kong example. Pero tayo, ang horizontal asymptote ng example natin is y is equal to 0. Okay, question sa horizontal asymptote. Okay, wala yung tatanong. So let's proceed then. So meron na tayong vertical and then horizontal asymptote. That's for the behavior of a rational function. So step 1, step 2, asymptote na naman. Asymmetric pala ang ating step 2. Okay, so step 2 is the symmetry. Symmetry of the curve. So first, letter A. So with respect to x-axis, so anong ginagawa natin pag with respect to x-axis? What do we replace? What do we replace with respect to y-axis? We replace your y by negative y. And then we solve for y. Okay. So ano yung given na function natin? Y is equal to 1 over x squared minus 9. So, isolve natin. Palitan natin si y. So, original function y is equal to 1 over x squared minus 9. We change this by negative. And then we now solve for y. We just multiply this by negative 1. So, y is equal to the negative of x squared minus 9. So, we did not go back to the original function. So, therefore, it is not symmetric to your x-axis. How about letter B? Letter B is with respect to your y-axis. So, meaning we replace now x by negative x and then solve for y. So that is with respect to y-axis. So from the given fraction, that is x squared minus 9, y is equal to 1 over, palitan natin si x ng negative. So what do we have here? Y is equal to 1 over. Positive pa rin siya. So meaning we go back to the original function. So therefore, yes, it is now symmetric. Symmetric with the y-axis. Yeah. So note nyo yan, na symmetric siya sa y-axis. And the last one is sa may point of origin. Okay, so letter C, that is with respect to your point of origin. So what will you do here? You replace your x by negative x, you replace by y by negative y, and then solve for y. Our y original function is 1 over x squared minus 9, so therefore negative daw siya. Tapos negative pa si x. Pabalik kaya tayo sa ating original function. That's 1 over x squared minus 9. So I will multiply our equation by negative 1. Para y lang yung solve natin. Y is equal now to negative 1 over x squared minus 9. So it's no. Because we did not go back to the original function. Nag-iba yung function. So symmetric lang siya sa y-axis. Okay, so that is your step 2. Next one. For your step 3, sabi dyan, is intercepts. Intercepts of the curve. Pag-intercept of the curve, umpisahan natin kay x-intercept. So if x-intercept, meaning what is the point of intersection in your x-axis? Tama? So what will you do is we equate na y is equal to 0. So what is our function? This is y is equal to 1 over x squared minus 9. So palitan natin si y ng 0. Equate this to 0. So what you have 1 over x squared minus 9. So solve ba tayong x? Pag na-cross multiply tayo, 0 siya. 0 is equal to 1, which is not true. So ibig sabihin, x-intercept does not exist. So, wala tayong x-intercept. So, ibig sabihin, yung graph natin, wala siyang intersection sa x-axis. Okay. The next one is your y-intercept. Y-intercept, we equate x is equal to 0. So, what do we have here? The original function is x squared minus 9. This is now 0 minus 9. So, y now is 1 over negative 9. So, ibig sabihin, mayroon lang isang point of intersection. Our x is 0, and then our y is negative 1 over 9. What is negative 1 over 9? Anong 1 over 9 in decimal? What's 1 over 9?
Negative 0.11 po.
Okay, kung negative 0.11, ibig sabihin negative 0.1. 0.11? 0.11, sige. Parang 0.1 lang siya. So, dyan dadaan yung curve sa y-axis. Okay? So, there. And the last one is we're going to add additional points. Pero kailangan muna natin i-graph. Ano bang gagawin natin? Kailangan muna natin i-graph. Okay. So, let's see. So, balik tayo sa behavior. Analyze muna natin yung behavior. Okay, sa behavior of the curve, vertical and horizontal. Vertical asymptote, dalawa. Ibig sabihin, there is a line that will pass through negative 3 and positive 3. Okay, negative 3, positive 3. 1, 2, and 2. And then you have negative 1, negative 2, and negative 3. Okay. There's a line. Ano yung line na yun? X is equal to 3. Ito yung asymptote natin. X is equal to 3 is a line. Okay? Yan. Pag nag-graph kayo sa mga up, actually it's a broken line. Sige, gawin natin broken line. So if it is a broken line, that's your asymptote. And then, yung isang asymptote, negative 3. X is equal to negative 3. Here. Kaya vertical. Vertical asymptote. Next one is the horizontal asymptote, y is equal to 0. So your horizontal asymptote, y is equal to 0, it's just your x-axis. So, ibig sabihin dapat, i-broken line ko lang na ibig sabihin, yung graph natin, hindi dadaan sa ating, it will not intersect our x-axis. Ayan. Okay, so this one is y is equal to 0. This one is x is equal to negative 3. And this is x is equal to positive 3. Those are your asymptotes. Okay. Next. So, okay na yan. So, step 2. Ang sabi lang dyan is symmetric siya with the y-axis. So, ibig sabihin, mirror image sila sa y-axis. So, take note of that. Okay. And then number 3, intercept. Wala tayong x-intercept. Meron tayong intercept sa y-axis, which is 0, negative 0.1. Napakaliit. Okay. 0 and negative 0.1. Nandito siya. Andito, dumaan yung curve natin dyan. So, this is now 0 and negative 0.1 or 11. Okay. So, ibig sabihin, marami kayong additional points. Tama? Ano yung mga additional points nyo dito? 3 quadrant. Yung first is from negative 3 to positive 3. Anong nangyayari sa curve nyo? Within negative 3 to positive 3. At anong nangyayari sa curve nyo pag less than negative 3? Pag nandito na siya, anong nangyayari sa curve? At above 3, ano rin nangyayari sa curve and within. So may 3 part tayo na iti-trace. So start muna natin siya if x is greater than 3. If x is greater than 3. Okay? Magkakaroon tayo ng values. Color na pala yun. Na naging space. Dito na lang. Ito ang gamitin natin. Okay. I want you to so let's have now values. Values of your x. So ito yung ating first region, which is x is greater than 3. Hindi siya pwedeng x or greater or equal to 3. Kasi nga asymptote yung x is equal to 3. So dapat x greater than 3. We try now to find values for this. So x, and then what happened now to y from our function? Ano yung function natin? Y is equal to. So that is now y is equal to 1 over x squared minus 9. So dyan is a substitute. Okay, so ano yung mga values natin? Pwede tayong mag-decimal kung gusto nyo. Para matrace lang natin siya. Ayan. Okay, so try muna natin ang 3.5 and 4. So, pakikuha nga, 3.5, positive 4, 4.5. Ayan. Tingnan natin kung anong mangyayari. Please substitute this. Solve nyo si y. Okay, tapos yung iba naman, second region natin is, that is between x greater than negative 3, less than 3. Yun ang nasa gitna. Kung nasa gitna, ibig sabihin, gawin natin ang di negative 2, ayan, negative 1, yung mga gitna. Huwag ng 0 kasi meron ng value 1 and then positive 2. So, yan yung mga isosolve natin. And then the last region will be x will be less than negative 3. Ano yung mga less than negative 3? O, yung iba umpisahan nyo na ha. Ayan, x and y. So, that is now negative 3.5, negative 4, and negative 4.5. Okay, so please find the values. Lagay nyo sa chat box. Sabihin nyo kung ano yan. Region 1, 2, or 3. Sa may region 2, yung iba parang may mali. Check nyo nga. Okay, region 3. Okay. So, nilagay ko lang yung fraction form para at least makita natin na pareho lang sila. Kaysa yung decimal lang, so parang hindi natin alam kung pareho yun. So, if you look at those fraction form, pareho yung mga values natin. Okay, so let us now try to plot yung ating region 1. X is 3.5 and 4/13 is 0.3. 3.5. Okay, dito tayo sa greater than 3. Nako po. Kulang yung aking 4. Mas sobrahan ko naman. Okay, pwede bang mag-adjust lang ako ng konti? Adjust ko lang. Okay, so nasang si 2. Ayan. So, nasaan yung ating asymptote? Nasa 3. Okay, so let's start with your 3.5. Nasa 0.3 daw siya. Y. Okay, so 3.5 y is 0.3. So ang y natin, 0.5 yan. Ito, approximation 0.3. Ito naman si 3.5, so nandito siya. Okay? And then we have positive 4. Ano ang y value niya? Pag positive 4 is 0, 1 over 7. So that is 0.1. Okay, so ibig sabihin nandito lang siya. And then pagdating nung sa 4.5, lumiliit siya ng lumiliit. Okay. Anong ibig sabihin yan? Kasi lumiliit siya ng lumiliit. Di ba asymptote natin si x-axis? Ibig sabihin, hindi siya dadaan. It will not intersect our x-axis. Kaya siya very close lang siya. So if you will now get 5, pakikuha nga yung value if x is 5. What will happen if x is 5? Papalit lang yan. If x is 5, that is 0.06. So, ito 0.09. Yung sumunod, pag 5 siya, 0.06. So, papaliit lang siya ng papaliit. Let's say, paano pag 6? Kaya siya asymptote. It will just approach. Ayan. Pag 6 naman siya, 0.04. Ayan. So kahit na if you now assign a very large value of x, it will just give you 0.000, 0.005, ganun. Pero hindi siya 0. Why? Because your x-axis is an asymptote. It will just approach our x-axis. So ibig sabihin, if we finalize our graph, okay, kung gusto nyo makita kasi 3.5 lang, pwede naman yung 3.2. Pero dito pa lang kasi makikita nyo na ang graph natin, total asymptote yan. It will just approach our x-axis, but it will not intersect. Ganyan lang siya. Very close lang siya. Kahit na-extend mo yan, ganyan lang. And likewise, asymptote din yung ating line dito. So, ibig sabihin, it will just approach. It will just approach, but it will not intersect. So, dire-diretso lang yan. So, as your asymptote rises, ganun din. Magre-rise din lang yung curve natin, but they will not intersect together. Okay. So, paano naman yung ating interval na in between ito, region? Pag negative 2, okay, if x is negative 2, negative 1/5, or negative 0.2. If x is negative 2, negative 0.2. If x is negative 2, negative 0.2. Ito yung 0.5 natin. Wala. Ito yung 0.5. Ito yung 2. Sabi nga natin, nandito yung 2. Kasi 1 yun eh. If x is negative 2, negative 0.2. Okay, so andito siya. Yung ating line. Okay, 0.2. Tapos if x is negative 1, paliit siya ng paliit, negative 0.1. If x is negative 1, so 0.1. Pero not close to 0.125. So parang 0.13 siya. Malalay niyo to 11 to eh. So hindi siya mag-i-equal dyan. Somewhere here. Okay. Approximation lang naman yung ating curve tracing. It's not exact. And then you have 1. Pag positive 1 siya, napansin nyo pareho lang yung dalawa. So ibig sabihin, edi nag-mirror image siya dito. Pareho sila. Nag-mirror image. Ganon din kay 2. Pareho sila. Negative and positive pareho. So, mirror image lang yan. So, andito rin yung isa. Okay? So, if you look at your curve, since may asymptote sa gitna, wala tayong point sa taas. So, there is no point above your x-axis. Lahat yan nasa baba. So, as you go on with your curve, ibig sabihin, pababa yung graph natin. It decreases below. Okay, so ibig sabihin, pwede na nating i-finalize na yung curve nyo, dadaan siya dito, papunta dyan, pababa. Pababa siya, kasi asymptote yan. Again, and it will not intersect. Okay? It will just approach very close to your asymptote. Ito rin. So if you want to make sure, mag-assign kayo ng value, ganun pa rin. And the last one is yung ating 3. So pag negative 3.5, that is positive 0.3. Negative 3.5 is positive 0.3. Okay, napansin nyo yung dalawa, pareho sila. Mirror image silang dalawa. Yung positive 3.5, 4 over 13. Yung negative 3.5, 4 over 13 din. Kaya mirror image. Kung ano yung nasa kabila. Kasi nga, di ba, with respect to y-axis, symmetric siya. So, ibig sabihin, i-reflect lang natin sa kabila. Okay? Halimbawa, ito yung 4. Halimbawa, yan yung 4. Andito yung point. Tsaka yung 3.5 nandito. Ayan. And then, pag trace mo yung curve, kasi mirror image na sila, ganun din. Ganyan. So, this is your curve. Ganyan yung itsura niya. Okay. So, there. So, you have now the graph of the curve. Question sa pag-graph niyo dito? Yun yung tulong ng asymptote. Ibig sabihin, you will not intersect those asymptotes. So, if you try to check your graph, di mag-GeoGebra lang kayo kung similar kayo sa yung graph niyo. Okay, since walang question, let's proceed. The last one is what we call your tracing polar curve. Polar curve, actually substitution lang ang gagamitin nyo. Ang ginamit sa module nyo is interval of 15 degrees. Kaya 0, 15, 30, 45, ayan. So, ito yung gagamitin nyo. Meron din actually yung app niyan. Now, ito is 0. We label this as 1. Ayan. Ito is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, yan, 8. And then, what will you do? Let's say you were given now R is equal now to 2 cosine theta. So, ipa-plot nyo lang siya. So, substitute nyo yung mga values ng angle. Okay, so let's say you were given R. So let's say ito yung binigay na polar. So r is equal to 2 cosine theta. Your polar coordinates, kung malalan yung x and y axis nyo, your x and y axis, your point here is in terms of x and y. Okay, that's your x and that's your y. Sa polar, your point is actually in terms of r and theta. If theta is 0 degrees, what is the radius? So, ganun yung pag-plot ng sinasabi nating polar coordinates. So, r theta tayo. So, what will you do then is, we have to assign values. If this is r, if this is theta, what is now the value of r? Yung theta nyo is you start with 0 degrees. Ayan, 0. So, i-plot nyo na. Paki-calculate. So, paano pag r cosine 0, what is r? R cosine 15. Ayan, please. Compute naman. So, you have 30 degrees, 45 degrees, Okay, meron na ba? May value na ba yung ating 0 degree? What is the value of r? Cosine. 2 cosine of 0. And that's positive 2. How about the rest? I'll wait for your answer. Dire-diretso na yan. Sige. Saan na yung ibang values nyo? Okay, yung kahit 165 hanggang 180 lang tayo. Mukhang symmetric siya. Yung 180, ano ang 180? Okay, so negative. Ayan. So, dyan lang muna and then we will try now to analyze the given values. So, what will you do here is you plot. So, how do you plot now? If you start with 0 degrees, sabi dyan, if it is 0, R is 2. So, if it is 0, R is 2. Andito si 2. Ito yung radius 2. Radius 2, from 0 papunta doon, that's actually 2 units. And then next, if 15 degrees, so nandito tayo sa may 15 degrees, 1.9. 1.9, nandito siya. Ayan. Kasi 2 yun eh. So, nandito yung 1.9. Ako, masyadong maliit pala yung aking. Okay, that's 1.9. And then, if it is 30 degrees, sa may line tayo ng 30 degrees, 1.7. Ayan, 1.7. Masyadong close kasi, pero paliit siya ng paliit. And then, pag 45 na 1, 1.4. And then, pag sa 60, ito, 60, 1 na siya. Ibig sabihin, andito na siya sa 1. 1 yan, tama? Kasi if you look at the circle, that's the circle 1. Pwede bang i-zoom? Ayan. Circle 1 kasi ito. So, ibig sabihin, yung circle nyo na yan, sa first circle, 1 ang unit. Second circle, 2 units yung mga yun. And then, what's next? 75. 75 is 0.5. 75.5. So, nasa gitna. Dito siya. And then, 90 is 0. So, yung 90 natin, nandito na siya. So, it's like a circle. Okay. And then, 105 degrees. Pag 105 degrees na daw, negative. Okay, this is how you plot. Ito yung 105 degrees. So, yung mga nandito, positive yan. The opposite is negative. So, ibig sabihin, sa halip na 0.5 dito sa taas, nasaan yung 105 is 0. Sa halip na dito nyo i-plot, hindi dyan, kasi positive yan eh. Dapat sa kabila. Saan yung kabila? Kabila ng 150. Nandito tayo. Sa kabila niyan is nasa 285. So, i-plot natin yung 0.5. Nandito siya. Erase ko lang. Okay, nandito yung 0.5. Nawala na. Saglit. Okay, dyan, yung 0.5. Nawala naman. Wait, screenshot ko lang. Okay. Ayan. So, nasa 105. Yung 105 dito is positive. Pero negative yung binigay, so we graph it the opposite way. So, nandito siya. Dito natin ilalagay. Yung negative 0.5. So, kung positive, dito nyo ilalagay. Pero negative siya eh. So, sa kabilang line. So, 0.5. Negative 0.5. Yung 120, ito, yung dito, positive yan. Sa kabila niya is negative. And 120 is negative 1. So, yung kabila ng 120 is ito. Ito yung negative 1. And then, you have your 135. So, again, mga positive values dyan. So, ibig sabihin, since negative, balik tayo sa saan yung opposite line niya nandito. Which is now negative 1.4, negative 1.4. And then, andito na rin yung ibang points. Negative 1.7 and negative 1.9. And then you have now your 2. So, yan. Okay? Bumalik siya dito. So, therefore, yung graph natin is a circle. So, pag ititrace natin siya, so this is now our graph. Ito yung polar curve. Okay. Yan. So, maliit lang yung ating polar curve. Siguro lakihan nyo na lang yung inyong interval sa polar pag nag-graph. Pero ganyan siya. So, ganun yung gagawin lang sa polar. Okay? You substitute the values of your theta and then yung r, yung pag-plot nilang sa polar coordinates. Okay? So, that's your curve tracing using your polar and your Cartesian plane. Any question? Yung ibang examples you tried, please read your book and again watch the video uploaded in your Google Classroom. Tsaka yung module niyo. Ayan, meron pang katanungan? So this will be your last quiz. Tapos tignan ko na lang kung kailan ko siya i-upload. Before your final exam para meron kayong review material. Okay. Meron pa bang katanungan? May katanungan ba? Okay, mukhang wala naman. So, that's it. So, this is the end of your Eng Math 1. So, yes, Kylie.
Ma'am, sorry. Ask lang po namin kung pwede po kami mag-graphing paper para sa homework 16.
Sa homework 16, ano ba yung homework 16 nyo? Graphing, curve tracing, right? Pero isa lang yung pinapasolve ko sa inyo.
Yes po.
Ayun. So, yes, please use graphing paper then kung curve tracing siya. It's a combination of graphing paper, okay lang naman, and a bond paper. Bahala na kayo. Alin lang yung tanong? Okay, so kung wala nang tanong, then thank you for this sim. Hope to see you na again not to see you again in Eng Math 1. Okay. So good luck and God bless sa inyong exam and your quizzes. Again, if you have questions, you just PM me. Kung may mga katanungan bago ang inyong final exam. So I don't know yet your schedule of final exam. Upload ko na lang sa Google Classroom. Okay? So thank you. I'll be the last one to leave.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye po.
Thank you, ma'am.
Po.
Thank you po, ma'am.
Thank you po.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you
Thank you,
po.
ma'am. Miss you.
Thank you.